I went camping one weekend and I came back and I got to like a gas station with Wi-Fi and my phone was just blowing up. I posted my van, but nothing crazy. And all of a sudden I had 80,000 followers. And so from there, I was getting emails and messages of people wanting to come with me. And I say my goal in life is to spread joy. And I'm like, okay, I can spread joy. I could bring these people traveling, but how am I going to organize it in a way where it's sustainable for me to do it as a job?
Hello, and welcome back to the You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker, licensed clinical social worker, otherwise therapist, yoga instructor with a specialty in yoga psychology, though I technically tend to refer to myself as an intuitive human being here living life, creating this space, this sacred space where story meets soul and soul meets story. And so today we have a guest. Eve Kovak, and she is here with me. We met actually about a month ago at a summit that I was at in Connecticut. So through Awakened events. And with Flory, which many people here know that I've already interviewed a couple other people. I've interviewed Flory or I've had them as guests here on the platform. And I'm just following kind of my spontaneous intuitive hits of bringing people on to have these incredible conversations for them to share their wisdom. And Eve is otherwise known on social media as outdoor.eve. And I'm so excited for her to be here and to share more really with me about what she does. I've been following her. And so welcome, Eve. Happy to have you. Yes. And so I'd love to just get right into it. And if there's anything that you want to share, going back to Flory's event on how we met, but then as well as what brought you to that weekend event. And then we can go more into what you do and how you even got into what you do. So I'm just opening up the floor to whatever comes to you, stream of consciousness, to share right away. Hear me. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, that memory hits. And I get that a lot about my smile, which is really interesting because like I know that I have this contagious energy is what other people have said in terms of the way that I present myself, especially in groups. Though like inside of me is like all these emotions stemming from my own history with like sadness or depression, anxiety. And I think I shared a little bit about that during conversations at the summit. And so I sometimes forget how other people really see me. And so to get that feedback from you, I remember you saying that to me about my smile just is reinforcing in the way that we don't know how we're necessarily going to impact people, but also that it's important to go up and share those things. And so for you to even have the openness to share that with me, I think is valuable for other people to also go up to someone and tell them what you observe or what you sense about them. So I appreciate that so much. Yes, yes, it is. And then sometimes those strangers become, right? Acquaintances, friends, other connections. So, yes, I love that. So, what brought you to the Awakened event?
So I connected with Flory because Flory was mentoring one of my other friends who's a social media content creator. She talks very highly of him, Ryan Arel, the one who lights himself on fire.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and
she did mention that.
yes, yeah, a few times. And so he brought us together, and you don't meet anyone by accident. And so I began to attend Flory's Awaken Event seminars, and now it's all snowballed into me hosting a retreat with her in the spring. So the last week of April, we're going to be hosting some women at her house, and I'm really excited about it. But Florrie's been a super positive impact in my life because I started as very spiritual, and she kind of showed me that I can incorporate that into my business life. And I think that was really important for me in creating a career out of what I'm doing.
Yes, yes. And I love her story. For other people who haven't heard it yet, you can go and check out the episode that I did with her on synchronicity. And she went into like her history of business and mindfulness and spirituality, and really combining the two isn't even the word that I think. It's living the two. And it's having the openness in ourselves that we do have something greater than our sense of self, whether that's spiritual or energy, religion, whatever people kind of want to call it, that is important to connect with or gain access to, that we don't necessarily see. Right. So it's like you don't might not have the evidence of something on the external in the way that mathematicians tend to look at the evidence. And Flori is also a mathematician. And so that level of insight and integration in oneself that you can then apply to propel your life and or your business, I think is really, really powerful. And
I
that
can do
seems like that's what happened for you. So if you want to go ahead and share about your story or how you got into the business that you created.
Sure, absolutely. So I started traveling when I was 16 years old. I left high school for a few months to build skate parks across the country with a company called Rampage Skate Ramps. And that kind of sparked my love for travel. I think that was also the first time I met someone living out of a van, and I was like, oh, this is something that people do. Okay. And so by the time I got back to Connecticut, I graduated high school early at 17, and I started van hunting because I just knew that I wanted to live in a camper van. I actually didn't have a phone until I was almost 18 years old because I bought it myself by working at a coffee shop. So I didn't really know about all like the van life stuff on the internet. I just like wanted to do that on my own. So then I'm 18 and I buy a phone and I couldn't find the right van for me. So I was like, all right, like screw it. I'm buying a plane ticket to Europe. I had never had any desire to go to Europe. I just had the urge to like do something to travel. Yeah, just to get out of here. And upon my return from Europe, I had all of these emails about like, hey, I've seen your Instagram and I want to travel with you and I want to travel with you and we could be friends. And I was like, how could I get all of these strangers together to travel with me? And that's how Trip with Eve was created. And now it's rebranded as Nomad Collective.
Oh my
And now I
goodness.
take people on trips. Yeah.
Right. So it's like we introduced you, but didn't really go. And that's the beauty of like spontaneous conversations or unplanned, unfiltered conversations is I didn't share what you did. Aside from that, you're on social media as Outdoor Eve, and that you travel, you live out of a camper van, and you host and facilitate these retreats that really are traveling all over the world. And I was even going to say, as you were speaking about that, you call yourself a nomad. And so I didn't even realize that that was the rebranding of your business, so to speak. And so, the Travel with Eve then coming into like this nomad way of living at such a young age. I didn't realize that you took time off from high school. I know you skate, and it's really cool to see your videos on your page of you skating, though I didn't realize that you worked for a company, which is just incredible to be so young and to follow those impulses. I think sometimes the word like impulsive can get a bad rep, that we tend to view people who are impulsive as making risky decisions that are reckless or poor judgment or lead to negative consequences. But sometimes listening to those inner impulses just leads you to the next thing in your life that may lead you to something else, that might lead you to something else. And sometimes they might fail or not work out, whereas other times that might open you up, or even those failures might open you up to a way of living that is fulfilling and or inspiring, or that you are passionate about, because you get to live what to me seems like what you enjoy. Like if you enjoy traveling, you are living through traveling or as a traveler, and then also inviting other people to do that with you as almost a form of service. So in a way, like you living what is so true to you that you love gets to also be a form of service for other people.
Exactly. And when people ask me how I started, it was just those impulsive choices that snowballed into my lifestyle. So when people are like, how can I start? I'm like, you guys just don't do whatever you want? Like, I'm like, yeah. So I feel like, yeah, just the impulses of choice just snowballed into what my life is now. And I'm super grateful to be able to teach other people about travel, about yoga, about anything that they want to learn from me. And I get to travel the world and enjoy meeting all the people who want to get started in the life that I'm living.
Yeah. And so from what you said before too, where you didn't have a phone until you said, I think like 17. And how old are you now?
I'm 20 years old now.
Yeah. So 20. So not even much older than a couple years when you uh, got your phone, but also I know you said you went back and you did graduate high school. So you left for a period of time, then you came back, graduated, got this phone, which I guess connected you to social media where you started posting about your life, had this spontaneous trip to Europe, which again, incredible. These things that we can do on a whim. And then from there, people started reaching out to you saying that they saw like the way what you were doing, you were traveling and the way that you were living through social media. So taking also, I view the outside, the external as like a mirror. And so that mirroring from external information or from other people, in this case, if people were reaching out to you and be like, I want to join you, that was an invitation for you to also open up and be like, what can I utilize what this person is asking me from a bigger picture? And I had a similar experience too. I, as a therapist, and then I did a yoga teacher training, not expecting to teach yoga. I just wanted to enhance my own practice and understanding of the philosophy. And then someone reached out to me and said, I really would like you to teach at my studio. I was like, all right, why not? I'll give it a try. It was during COVID, so I did it virtually, and so I didn't have to do much. And then through those classes, once COVID ended, people started coming to my classes. People approached me and was like, do you offer one-on-ones? And then that led me to consider, like therapy and yoga together. So it was through other people's invitation of something to consider that then led me to what I feel like, again, is my purpose or my mission that I'm most passionate about offering in mental health and yoga lens, offering the two of them together. And that seems similar. So yours happened earlier on. And I think, that can be for those who are younger to not necessarily follow the traditional path of graduate high school on the trajectory of time, go to college or buy a house, get married, whatever. Like that doesn't have to be everybody's blueprint. And so
Exactly.
just opening up the stories and conversations around choice and your autonomy and trusting what shows up for you and following those intuitive hits. So when people started asking you about joining in your travels, what happened from there?
A lot of people say that fame doesn't happen overnight, but for me, it kind of did. I went camping one weekend and I came back and I got to like a gas station with Wi-Fi and my phone was just blowing up. It was just ding, ding, ding. And I had been posting my travels here and there. Like I posted my van, but nothing crazy. And all of a sudden I had 80,000 followers. I had been posting on TikTok for a few years too, but just like I hadn't committed to it in the way where I thought that it would explode like that. And so from there, I was getting emails and messages of people wanting to come with me. And I say my goal in life is to spread joy. And I'm like, okay, I can spread joy. I could bring these people traveling, but how am I going to organize it in a way where it's sustainable for me to do it as a job? And that's when I brought in my business partner, Sophia. She graduated from UVM and she does all of the back end work of these group trips because I love to make a poster and go travel with people and host the group and teach my yoga and have a good time. She does all of the spreadsheets, the organization, and tells me where and when that's going to happen.
Oh,
So,
that's so nice to have. just having a person that is more specialized or like skilled in that area that might not be your expertise. And I think that's how we can complement each other, where you get to do again what you're most passionate about or more skilled in naturally, and then to have this connection of someone else, your business partner, who can do more of the back end stuff. And sometimes we need to join forces that way.
Exactly. Another thing that I think people will say to me a lot is like, oh, I can't live the way you're living because I'm not famous on social media. And I try to tell them, I'm like, that's a new thing for me. I lived this way long before I was on social media, and it's anyone can. It's like, do what makes you happy, not do where the money is.
Thank you for saying that. I really
Yeah.
want to repeat that. Do what makes you happy, not do where the money is.
Yeah.
Not just do where the money is.
Yeah.
Yes. And that I even heard recently, and it was probably on someone on social media talking, where they were advising people, or their recommendation was, if trying to get big on social media or just get big in your business, the the biggest barrier for people is not being like real, is not showing themselves authentically and openly. And I don't think that's just, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to be real and authentic on this video that I'm going to post on social media. I think that's overall in life. If you are living real and authentically, and then that just happens to be what you also share on social media, again, maybe in an intuitive like burst of inspiration of, oh, I want to post this, and I see you doing that, like when your car broke down or you had something going on with your bike. Like those are such real moments,
Yeah.
and you just was like, I'm going to share this. And that's probably what got you to be so, so big, is that you were showing very real, raw moments that you were recording and posting, seems to me like just on the whim while you're living. And that's attractive. It's like really what people I think are drawn to, and maybe even what the algorithm tends to like push out there.
Yeah, I've never been a huge internet fan. Like, I never thought I would be somebody who's like contributing to the internet, to like the feed that people scroll on, especially because I didn't have a phone for so long. I was super anti-technology. I'm very crunchy. I'm very like organic and all of that.
Mm.
And so I never thought that I'd be contributing something to the internet, but I think what I'm contributing, I'm very specific about. Like, I want to help people, I want to spread joy, I want people to go outside. I'm not going to edit my photos and make other women feel bad about themselves. I'm not going to post like my life is great all the time. Like, no, sometimes my car gets in an accident or my bike breaks down, and I'm going to share that because that's me and I'm a real human being and I'm not just somebody behind a screen. And my goal with my social media is to create a community of people and get people on my group trips and meet these people. So to me, it's like all of my followers, it's not my fans, it's my friends who I haven't met yet.
Yes. Yes. And you might get opportunities to meet them because they come on a trip with you. Not necessarily, I don't, and you can correct me if this wrong, if this is inaccurate, but I don't see you like promoting your trips necessarily in the way that some would suggest of marketing, of like, here's the 3 things that you're going to gain by doing this weekend retreat with me. Like, it seems like these trips are really about spreading joy, having fun, coming together, building community. So meeting the people that follow you, that get to be in a very present experience while traveling the world.
Exactly. And Amanda, I don't think you know how many parallels we have. I'm finishing my yoga certification in Asia this January, and I'm a therapist for disabled kids. So my end goal is to combine yoga and therapy and open my own retreat center.
I did not know that. I just see you as like outdoor Eve, like nomad traveling, doing these amazing like retreats with people. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. And I, these multifaceted ways. There's a term called like polymath. I don't know if you've heard of what like a polymath is. It's essentially a person of like all trades. So like you have these skill sets in different areas that you might be knowledgeable in, or again of like, okay, she's a woman that posts on social media and has a lot of followers. You travel, you run these retreats. Well, now you skateboard, and you now are going to be continuing or finishing your yoga certification, and then being a therapist for disabled kids, and combining all of that. And I think sometimes when we grow up in our culture in the more traditional way, and I speak a lot about that because that was my upbringing of like, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college. I went to grad school, I got my license, I became a therapist, had a boyfriend, got married, we bought a house, we had a kid. Like, here I am living traditionally, and I'm so not happy. And it's like, why didn't that? That's what everyone told me was going to bring me this fulfillment. And so I kind of had to undo so much of that, of like, what do I, and early on it was poetry, and so that brought poetry back into my life through my yoga teacher training. And yoga reminded me of how I used to dance when I was a kid, and I really questioned, like, I've spent all this money on school, and yet what I'm doing now, I feel like I am naturally skilled at. I appreciated my years of schooling. I think it did serve me, but I also feel like I can do what I do without that. That was just like an extra benefit, but really what makes me good at what I do is who I am. And I see that in you, and I think that's what's bringing up like our parallels and overlapping similarities. It just different routes for us to get there. But any way that I can support you in doing more with yoga and therapy, I'm really happy to.
I definitely see us collaborating on a retreat at some point for sure. But tell me more about your like connection to poetry, because I actually just finished my first poetry book and I'm about to like put it out there and I'm nervous.
You mean like you wrote a poetry book too? Stop it with these
Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. I love that. So I started writing poetry when I was around 6 or 7 years old, and at the time for me they came about as lyrics. So I only child, lots of time spent by myself. My parents worked a lot, so I would be in my room. I wanted to learn piano, but I did not want to commit to the lessons. I just wanted to know how to play. But like, for me, I wasn't just this natural prodigy that could know how to play the piano, but I didn't keep up with the lessons. So I would just like bang on the keyboard and play the recorded beats that were already on there. And then I would create songs in my head. So they were more so lyrics, because when I write poetry, when I'm creating it, mentally, it has a rhythm and like a cadence to it, a melody. And I actually thought that everyone thought that way. I thought everyone thought in melody, which later people told me, like, no, Amanda, that's not really how people think. So that is like a natural talent of mine, that my poetry has this like cadence to it. And I was doing that, like I said, since a really, really young age, around like 6 or 7. So I would record myself instead of writing it down. And so I have all these like cassette tapes that are recorded of me singing these songs. And then as I got older, then I started writing in journals, and it came out more poetically. Always into music. So I loved having like reading lyrics. And I did that like through my teenage years, and then I stopped. So when I got like later into high school and into college, I didn't write anymore. And there wasn't really a reason why. I just kind of lost it as I got more caught up in like my grades and what I was going to do career wise and building my family. And so when I did my yoga teacher training just before COVID, and so 15 plus years later, they told us that we needed to write every day. And so when I started writing again, it came out as poetry. And that reminded me of what I used to do when I was younger. And thankfully, my parents saved my journals. So I went back and I reread things that I wrote when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. And I had this epiphany that I was going to publish it. And so I was like, this is really cool. Let me take all these poems and put it into a poetry collection, because I started writing again around age like 30, 31. So it's my book is called Ask, a collection of poetry, lyrics, and words, and it's a collection of time, essentially. So early on what I wrote all the way through that gap period. And then again in my early 30s. And I just Googled, like, how do you self-publish? And then that took me that you can do it through Kindle Direct Publishing. There's Ingram Spark. There's a lot of platforms where you can self-publish. But I thought that I needed like much more than that. I thought I needed like someone to edit it, or like I thought I would need a publisher. I needed help with creating the not description, the cover, like the picture of the cover. And so through my search with that, I came across this woman, Shell Vera, just through like a Facebook group, because someone was like, "Oh, you need a copy editor." I was like, "What's a copy editor? I don't know." So I like searched in the group copy editors. Shell Vera came up. She lives in Connecticut. And I reached out to her and we had a phone conversation and we clicked. Immediately, she was like, "I've self published my own poetry book. Let me read what you wrote. Make an Instagram account." So she encouraged me to make I used to have a poetry page that lasted for like 5 years. I got rid of it. Now everything's all on one page. It's like my personal page is all my business, yoga, poetry. It's me. And so she read my poetry and she was like, "Amanda, you don't need anyone to edit this. Poetry can be any way you want. Let it be raw. Self-publish it as it is." And to this day, she and I are still friends. And her sense of belief in me and not taking really like any, she didn't ask me for money. She didn't like, I view it as like take advantage of, oh, I could just tell her she needs a copy editor and I'll read her stuff and charge her this amount of money. Like it was so genuine that she beta read my book. She's given me a ton of reviews, a ton of just recommendations for other people. And it's people like that, it reminds me of Flory. It's people like that that are just so genuine that you're not like in this reciprocal kind of contractual type of dynamic of, here, I'm going to give you this, but you need to give me something back. It's just out of the kindness of your heart. And again, these like synchronistic types of ways of coming across people that led me to the courage to share my poetry and then self-publish. And after I self-published, I then continued to write. And then I have another book that's out that a nonprofit in Baltimore picked up about 2 years ago, and they published that one. Yeah, just a long drawn way of sharing how like poetry came about for me. So you're considering or like publishing your poetry too. How has that been going for you?
But ever since I can remember, I've been just like writing them down in little notebooks or on my notes app. And then one day I really scrolled through it and I was like, wow, I've got like hours of poems in here. Let me put some together. So out of them, I pulled out all of the nature poems, all ones that connect back to either nature or traveling. And I put all of those together into one book and titled it The Road and the River. And now I'm just taking the next steps to publish it and put it out there. And I feel like, too, I'm excited to do this podcast because people are always asking me like a little more about my life because I don't necessarily share that much personal information on Instagram. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I haven't because I don't really know how to do that. Like, I just make videos to inspire people to go outside. I don't make like videos where I'm telling them about my life or my life problems. And so I feel like through my poetry book, that's like another opportunity for people who follow me to get to know me a little better.
Yes, yes. And I love that because we're multifaceted. And so like your Instagram page or videos can kind of be one thing, and then your poetry can be more of that like vulnerable, expressive side of you. But I think of course the people that come in contact with you, whether they're just followers kind of looking on the outside, or whether they know you more personally, or they've met you, or they're attending your events, that they they want to see you. They like want to know more about you. And I think that's only going to to help you to feel more connected and empowered in yourself and in what you do as you continue in this journey.
Thank you. Amanda, where can somebody buy your poetry book?
Yes. So they can go to my website, youamazeme.org, www.youamazeme.org. My poetry books are available there. They're on Amazon. The second one, that's all on the theme of intimacy. It's called What's Another Word for Intimacy? It's a shorter, it's a chat book. So it's only like 50 pages. And that's through Yellow Arrow Publishing. So that's also available on their website. They also have it up on Amazon. So there are multiple ways to receive it. Yes, thank you for asking. And again, any way that I can support you in your poetry collection and writing and publishing as well. If you're looking to self-publish, like I said, there's multiple platforms to be able to do that. Or also what I did with Yellow Arrow is I found publishing companies that were accepting open submissions for poetry manuscripts. So like you said, you already have it written. And so you can even look for open submission enrollments and send it that way. It might be a little long. Yeah, but if you're looking to self-publish, it's easy, and then you kind of do your own marketing for it. And I think that it will be really inspiring for people, and plenty of people will want to read it, myself included.
Thank you. I want to read your poetry book. We're on the trade.
Yes. I mean, just again, like these similarities, and from a mental health lens, what I have found as I've gone a little bit outside the typical traditional realm of being a therapist is that I've shared more of myself with my clients. And so if a client wants to follow me on social media and they happen to find me, wonderful. Like they're going to see beyond just, this professional. I don't even really consider myself as like super professional in what we tend to stereotypically think of it. But they're going to see, like that my cat like passed away just before Florrie's event. So like, I shared that, the vulnerable things that are on there, or my poetry from a teen, or what I write now is like darker. It's like my outlet for those darker themes. And so I think the interventions is your authenticity and being this like multifaceted being, that we have multiple interests and all different kinds of traits. We're complex, we're contradictory. And when we embrace that and when we show that so that others can feel more courageous and safer to also be themselves and share themselves, I think that's really counteracts our stress, our anxiety, our mental health symptoms.
I agree. I think that I know that you've shared a little bit with me about your mental health journey, but in high school, I definitely struggled a lot with mental health, and that's kind of what pushed the trajectory of my life, because I was like, I'm not going to be happy if I do anything else. And in doing this, I try to push people to go outside every day. I post that every day, go outside today, because I think that the biggest like motivation for my happiness and my travel and everything was nature.
Yeah. Yes. And I love that that's what you promote, and that is what you do, because one, that it's like you if you've been drawn to it for most of your life, and then it's what you're doing, and that it's what's going to bring you into that like state of presence, of wholeness, of and like feeling energized into that, what we call kind of in yoga or mental health is like into your equilibrium. So where everything's kind of harmonized and fitting together, as opposed to some models of therapy call it like fragmented. So when we're fragmented, it's like we're not connected in these different aspects of self. And so something might be hidden, like me not writing poetry for years. That would have been like a fragmented piece that just got pushed to the side. Or if you stopped going out in nature, or if you only did nature but maybe never wrote poetry, right? So it's like we need these things to exist in your life, not just when you have time. Sometimes we think, once I finish work, once I finish cleaning, then I can do this. And it's like, no, it's not just a luxury or a reward that you get. it's something that's a necessity
I
for,
completely agree. I think humans are meant to create, and I think we put false boundaries on happiness. I'll be happy when I get the job or when I finish school or when I do this. But creating and like doing what makes you happy now or just having that happiness in the present moment is the key to having good mental health.
yes. Yes. I heard a statistic yesterday. I was listening to a podcast, and the woman said through her research, the statistics that she shared was that suicide is the highest killer of teens right now. And so the biggest killer of teens at the top is, I guess, teens who are, taking their life by suicide.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially with how social media is going right now. Everybody is consuming and no one is creating. And that's exactly what, the government and anybody who creates social media wanted to happen. And it's really unfortunate.
Yes. Yeah, so to even hear for, for you as a teen not having a phone, and your generation's younger. So for me, like, phones came about when I was 18, 17, 18 years old. So we didn't have that access to social media at that age. But for you as a teen, that is what they're growing up with. And so for you to not have one, to not really be as consumed or into social media, probably was of benefit for you. And then also the way that you're using it. It's with intention of, I'm on here to create versus I'm on here to consume.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And the things I'm creating, I would never want someone to get stuck like doom scrolling on my page. I'd want them to see go outside today after every post. So it's like, maybe I shouldn't be looking at this. Maybe I'll just go do what she's doing. And I don't know, I want to use it for the right things because it's a very slippery slope and a very it's a dangerous thing. Like you said, kids are literally committing suicide, and I'm sure it's tied to the internet and social media.
Yeah. The internet, social media, the pressure to be like probably a certain way from what they're seeing on there, or um, just not having the encouragement, like, embedded in their upbringing or even in the school system of what we're promoting, of like choosing and engaging in things that bring you joy and making that a regular part of your life, going outside, connecting with your friends, not just to be on social media together, but like to actually engage in things that don't include your phone, uh, to ride your bike or to write poetry, to go and dance, to create art, to it's creation. But creation can also be like, if someone loves chess or if someone loves science and equations, but that they're doing those things.
Yeah.
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 I absolutely agree with you. I think that people need to create, they can't just consume. And I think that sunlight, exercise, and community are the three things that can boost anyone's mental health. If people are like, oh, Eva, I'm depressed, it's because I'm not traveling like you are. I'm like, go outside, go in the sun, go talk to your friends or your neighbors or your local coffee shop, call your grandma, and then go for a walk and tell me you still feel the same way after.
Right. It's that like experience and experimenting. You got to do it, not think about it. And once you do it, then check with yourself how you feel after.
It's important to have a good toolbox of coping skills as your checklist when you start to feel down because everybody does. Even when I'm traveling, I'll start to feel down and I need to go back to that toolbox of, okay, I need to write poetry. There's something that I'm not doing that's making me not happy.
Yes. Yes. And I view those things not as, like you said, toolbox, because it's like a resource that you have, but it's yours and it's you. So poetry might work for you versus it might be music for someone else. It might be yoga for someone else, or all of those, like all three of those are mine. And you can have so many. Um, but for me, they're not like a coping strategy. I don't use them to necessarily get rid of my stress or get rid of my anxiety. They just happen to do that because I'm living as me and I know I have something to express through my words. So I'm going to put it out there, or I'm feeling down and I'm going to write. But because that's me. And so really, I think what you're encouraging people to take what you do as a model or what your message is and try it. And if there's a benefit, then keep doing it, or if it feels of resonance, because I think we're all beings of nature, that I think that is a part of all of us, that is an authentic piece for all of us. Just some people don't take the time to do it. So I remember at Florrie's weekend, there was a time when we were listening to one of like the presentations, and it was on social media, and you were called up to share about your social media page, and I really liked what you said. Do you remember how you spoke about you and like your brand?
Vaguely. Maybe remind me what resonates.
So I think it was at the time, and I'm like blanking on her name. Do you remember? Sarah, yes, okay. And so she was going over and like saying, okay, we're going to look at some example pages and we're going to talk about things that are important to have on your page. So, she was being really specific about like the title of your page, the like taglines of your page, the words that you need. And then she had also mentioned about like the importance of the kind of content that you're posting, whether it was like entertaining or whether it was like a call to action. And you came up, and I loved that you said, you were like, the brand is me, like my page is me. And it sounded like from that where you were essentially saying, I don't really necessarily follow any type of strategy or any type of, let me post this because it kind of is going to entertain, or let me post this because it's going to draw people to sign up for my events. That you were saying kind of more of, well, this is just me and I'm just posting to post, and that drew you in to essentially, we could say, be successful. But I don't even, like you said before, I don't think you were doing it for that reason. It just was a secondary benefit or gain that came about from you creating your page. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think that creating myself as the brand on social media was the smartest thing I could have done because people follow me for whatever I'm doing. And it's also would have been impossible for me to dedicate my page to one thing because I'm a versatile human. I'm a jack of all trades. I love doing so many different things. There's no way I would have been able to only focus on one. So instead, it's just I'm Eve. I love all of these things. You might love one, you might love 10, you might just love me. But either way, now you're on my journey and we're in it together. And often I'll get asked, like, what's your personal page? Where's your personal social media page? I'm like, this is my personal page. Like, you guys are getting my personal pictures. Like, they'll be like my grandma with 10,000 likes. And I'm like, all right.
And honestly, I think that's why you stood out to me, because I've had multiple people say to me, like, Amanda, you need to get like a professional marketer, or you need someone to help you run your social media. And if you want to get more followers, and I don't, if we're going to compare, right? I don't even like speaking about it this way, but if I'm going to compare, and I have 1,200 some followers. And I could view that as low, or I could view that, for some people, they're like, oh my gosh, you have over 1,000. That's awesome. Um, but to me, it's like not even counting. It's like you said, people are following you for you. And I only want people to follow me if they like what they see, or if something connects with them. And it could be, maybe it was the picture of my cat, or maybe it's the picture of my son, or maybe it's my poetry, or a video on mental health, or a reel from a podcast episode. And or my yoga, like it's all in one place. And that's what had you, I think, or led me to you to stand out for me. That's why you stood out for me, like when you were up there and you said that, because it was an assurance for me of like, I don't need to do it in this way that other people are recommending, where they're saying, make a You Amaze Me page just for this one thing. And I had my poetry page, and that had actually like 8,000 some followers, and I completely deleted it like one day on a whim, where I'm like, some kind of download from something, where I was like, nope, not meant to have this page anymore, because everything's going to be in one place. And I think that's been one of the best things that I've done for me.
Good. I think that you feeling authentic about your social media and knowing that what you're posting is true to yourself and your life and your business and what you want to share with people is so important. I think that's honestly the key to what makes it reach the right people. Because also, Amanda, imagine 1,000 people in a room listening to you teach yoga or have a podcast. Like, that's crazy. That's a lot, you know?
Yes.
And all of those people consciously chose, I'm following Amanda. I want to see the You Amaze Me stuff.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And that's what I do of like my perspective and having that perspective. Because I'd rather have like 20 people who really want to be at one of my events than thousands of people who are just there because influencer or marketing or something brought them. It's like, no, I want it to be real and authentic and genuine. And so tell me how people, or tell the listeners how people can find you or sign up for something of yours. What's that process?
Sure. So I'm actually currently in the mix of getting my website finalized and created. So as of right now, if you go on my Instagram, Outdoor Eve, or Facebook or anywhere, you just Google my name, I'll come up, and you can find a survey link in my bio, and that's to sign up to be on the general interest form for my trips. And then from there, you get emails. I'll email you when trips are coming up, or if you want to sign up for one, you'll see me posting it. But because that's not so organized, I'm getting a website up, and it's going to be something along the lines of Nomad Collective because that is the new brand name. So you can Google Nomad Collective, and hopefully the survey to join the trips will come up.
Yay. Yep. People have multiple ways to check you out and find you. And what are some examples of trips you've done? Where have you gone? Where have you taken people?
Sure. I've done 3 separate spiritual retreats only for women on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and those are 10-day retreats, $2,500 a person for 10 days in Europe. And you meet up with 10 stranger women. We do yoga, we eat, we go on tours, boats, bikes. We do a whole bunch of different things, and it's a blast. Honestly, every trip is so special to me, and all of the girls that I meet have like a different energy or a different vibe, or the group is different and we want to do different things. And I also love leaving it open to like flexibility of like, okay, these people aren't beach people, let's go to the mountains today. And yeah, I honestly, I just love hosting these trips, especially women's retreats. I think when I get to focus it towards like femininity and spirituality, that's when I feel like I'm giving people the most that they can get out of it. And then as of recently, I started doing co-op trips, and these are more like camping road trip friend vibes. And so it's boys and girls, and those have been super fun too. And upcoming in about a week, I've got 25 people coming to Puerto Rico, men and women, all strangers. And we are going to get in a big van and a big house Airbnb and have a great time.
So amazing and incredible. And it just kind of leaves it up to like anything can happen, right? When you are like in the openness of the infinite potential and possibilities of like anything can happen on these trips. You have kind of a vision, and then you also have that flexibility, strangers coming together that can totally shift the course and trajectory of your life and of their life, and just inspiring in that way.
Yeah.
And
I get to make so many new cool friends, and I have so many like communities around the world now. And then I get to meet back up with these people on like other trips or travels or when I'm in their area. And I think it's just like the coolest way to be building this community so that when I eventually open a retreat center, all of these people that I've met and are already a part of my community can come to that space.
yes. And it's going to happen. Like you said, when I eventually open that retreat center, all of this is just leading you there and loving the process and journey along the way. And the community, right? Like you're creating community during the time together, community on your social media, community when you travel somewhere and you get to meet up with people that you met before. And it's that connection across space and time. Yeah.
Super important to me. Definitely one of my top favorite words. I like everyone I meet. I'm like, but do you guys have a community? You know, you need a community, and it's really life changing. I love my community. I love being Outdoor Eve. It's all spontaneous and it's all awesome, and I'm super grateful.
Yes, and I love what you created and our connection and being able to speak about it here. And are these trips where you are also in the camper van, or is that a separate thing?
So recently in Colorado, I borrowed my friend's 35-foot RV school bus, and I did road trips out of that bus. And I haven't done any road trips in my personal camper van yet, like inviting people to my camper van, but I definitely will. It's on my list to do. As of right now, I just use it for my own personal living space and travel, but I'm definitely excited to invite people into my home, kind of see the van and get the van life experience.
Yes, I love that. Again, it's just another way that you're living, but also something that you get to offer to people too. Of like, hey, you could do this too. You can live this way. And here, let me kind of help and show you uh, how to create that and believe that that's possible for other people too, if that's what they feel drawn to. So as we start to wrap up, are you open to pulling an oracle card?
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, so usually at the end of the episodes, I have us pull a card. I have many decks. I'm going to name three, and then if there's one that stands out to you that you want us to use, then we'll go for it. So I have, let's see, I have a Moon Oracle like witchy deck. I have a Star Seed Oracle deck, and I have an Awakening Intuition deck. We'll those three. And if you need me to repeat them,
Mm, I think with Starseed deck.
Starseed. I knew it. That's one.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I think we're gonna do the Starseed one. That's the one that I was picking for us. And I don't always say that, even as a choice. It's one of my very, very first decks. It's the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. And I don't usually say it because sometimes I think it's like the most like woo woo spiritual one that I have. And so sometimes in having conversations with people, I'm like, I just don't know if they're really there yet. But you are. You are. Yes, you are. Yeah. So things are falling. My light. It was so dark here before that okay. There we go. So this is what it looks like. The Starseed Oracle, Rebecca Campbell. And I will shuffle. And if you have like something that you have a question on, or for the people listening, I don't view these, and I typically say this, I don't view these as anything that's like psychic or that's going to tell you your future, but more about the word and the message. And then whatever is in your psyche that might stand out to you that relates is kind of something that you can take with you, whether that's guidance, whether that's assurance, whether that's a new perspective. So we'll be open to what unfolds or what comes out kind of between the two of us too. So I will shuffle, and then whenever you sense a point for me to stop, let me know.
Stop.
Okay, and then right or left hand.
Right.
Okay, and top or bottom. Okay. So here's the picture, and then I can read out what it says too, but you can take a look at just what you see. And it says, water your garden. So, water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest. So, does anything come up for you as you hear that?
Yeah, I'm leaving for my Puerto Rico trip in like 2 days, and I woke up with like a stuffy nose, and I'm like, I know it's because I bartended all weekend when I didn't have to, and I didn't take care of my body. I didn't sleep. I didn't do yoga. I didn't do the things I should have done, and I'm like, okay, today I need to do some self care.
So, look at that. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very fitting. And often the cards are just assurance and confirmation, reinforcement of what you already know of like, okay, yes, I need to be really intentional to take care of myself, to rest, to do the yoga, especially if you're noticing, some like sick type symptoms or just that tiredness and fatigue. Yeah. But I will read what the booklet says. And this is one, like I said, I've had this deck for a long time, and there are several cards that I tend to pull a lot. And this is one that I haven't gotten very often. So I don't even know necessarily what it says. All right. So Earth is a seasonal planet and you are a seasonal being. You're cyclical. You can't be on and in full bloom month after month or day after day. You're strongly being called to put on the brakes, to rest and refuel. Take a moment to restock and replenish and slow down. Your body is the only body you're given, and it needs to be respected. You're being called to take responsibility for your well-being, to put health and your body first. I know it might feel like that time is running out, if there's an urgency that simply can't wait. However, if you keep pushing, the fatigue will continue to set in and worsen. This way of living isn't sustainable if you are continually racing through life. Eventually, those who are continually racing will reach exhaustion and it will take longer to recover. Your immune system and mystery illnesses are becoming more common when you're putting too much pressure on your body to keep up with that fast pace of life. So you're being asked, how may you put on the brakes to rest, restore, and rejuvenate? When was the last time that you took a day for yourself or an afternoon off? Look after your precious body and mind. Give yourself time to recover. There is enough time. Life will bend towards you when you do. And then the soul inquiry question is, what is your body yearning for?
Sun. That is very spot on right now. On my recent Colorado group trips, by the time I left, I was not feeling healthy. And even like now, how I said today, like I have a group trip coming up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my body telling me to slow down and take care of myself before this trip starts. So I'm definitely gonna go to Puerto Rico a little early, get some sunshine, some rest, and just fix my own health before so that my bucket is full so that I can fill other people's.
Yes, exactly. Taking that care and tenderness to yourself, especially before having to like lead and facilitate or even travel and go somewhere, or getting there a few days early, taking this day, like you said, for you and engaging in that self-inquiry of, what is my body yearning for? And, sometimes when it comes to nourishment and taking care of yourself, it doesn't always mean just like, oh, I'm going to sleep and take a nap, or that I'm going to take a bubble bath and rest. Like for some people, that self-care is going for an active walk. It is doing something physical, but it's for you. And it's that taking the time with yourself to replenish in the ways that you replenish. So, like you said, time in the sun might be your way.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing myself on here. I'm like, wow, I'm so pale. I can't wait.
Well, and we're in that time of year, right? We just had daylight savings. So I think some people are also like, it's darker, and it's like, we don't have the tan, but you get to go to Puerto Rico. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And for people who are still in Connecticut, most important time to be going for walks and going outside and taking your vitamin D and
Yes. Well, any final words, anything else, or any other questions?
no, I think we covered it all.
Yeah. This was so fun. Honestly, I so enjoyed just hearing more about our similarities
I
and
know.
you
Yeah, there's a
getting.
lot. That was cool.
That was so cool. So
Yeah.
cool. So I encourage everyone to check out Eve, Outdoor Eve on social media. Look out for your website coming. Check out your events or even just the inspiration from the words that we shared here. And I think we will sign off.
All right, go outside today.
Yes, beautiful, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. You amaze me, and I love you.